What's up, guys? JD at JD's Custom Buggies. Little quick progress update on number 7, the MAX Carbide. We got some wheels and tires on it. So not a whole lot of fabrication since I've been jumping back and forth between things this week. About the only bit of fabrication we got going on right now is we do have tie rod tabs for our spindles, and I'll give you a quick rundown of the front end so far, where we're at and what needs to be done. Someone had watched the video and suggested on Facebook that maybe I go into a little more detail, and I apologize if it's lacking sometimes. It's just that usually I do these videos on my way out of the shop, and quite honestly, this isn't my my wheel station, or how they say it, wheelhouse. It's not where I feel I thrive, is making these videos. So I usually just try to get in and get out. But that being said, I'll just give a quick rundown and some details and stuff that might help some folks out. Not that I'm any expert. I just, like I said, it's just something I enjoy doing. First off, fabrication this week, we don't have much. We got, like I said, we got our tie rod tabs on, and the next step here is going to be to make the tie rods. So I guess to help figure out, or to explain why I have the tabs in a certain position in conjunction with the rest of the front end. If you notice here, our AR mounts are basically perpendicular to each other, so they're straight up and down vertically. The rack, on the other hand, the rack sticks out further than that point. So what I want to do to eliminate bumps here, if we have different lengths between point A and point B, and let's say our tie rod was, with this rack being longer than our AR mounts, and we put our tie rod tab between these two mounts where they hit the spindle, you'd get some bumps here. And the reason why is because you have 3 different lengths going up and down. They're not moving with each other evenly up and down. So what I try to do is, I know the rack is longer than my AR mounts, so I try to offset that so all 3 angles are as close as they can, or close as they can be together. And I'm not gonna tell you I do all the math. I approximate it. I do, partial. It's not a perfect build per se. So I try to compensate and throw my tie rod tabs further out, the same distance as what I think. Now, if you notice, I probably went a little further, and there's a reason for that. It's just that this rack has a lot of throw on it. So by moving this closer to the wheel, it'll eat up some of the throw, and take some of that distance away. The other nice thing, and here's where it's going to get shaky with camera work, is, I don't have to take the wheel off, but it's a little dark. If I knock a wheel off, let's see if I can do it with one hand, or at least get some light in there. I do like to get my tie rod tabs as far in as I can by moving the wheel out. But yes, that rotor is going to be close, but that rotor will never hit that. So what I try to do is as far in the wheel as possible. I think it gives better control, just from my experience when I built Lucifer. If anybody's familiar with that buggy, my 400cc joiner, those tabs are basically inside the wheel. And that thing handles great. So, and it turns like it's on rails. So I try to adapt that whole theory and concept, whatever I stumbled on there, into this. So that kind of explains that, but there is a whole geometry thing to it. There is a right way and a wrong way to do a front end, and this is probably the most tedious part of any build, is just making sure that this is correct. Um, and that, you know, the geometry can be as good as it can be. Obviously, on a Yerf Dog stock, um, lawnmowers probably have better geometry than a Yerf Dog front end. But which is why a lot of you know me from doing Yerf Dog front ends, you know, trying to correct some of that. But I haven't put this on the ground yet. When I get tie rods on it, I'll do like a bounce test. I want to see how the shocks react with everything. Hopefully we don't need to move anything. I mean, every once in a while I'll do a build and not think about an angle of a shock, and I'll put it on the ground and it'll just hit the ground. That's happened once or twice, and it's just a matter of angles. Take the same shock, mount it at a different angle, it's going to react totally different. I think the angle that we have here is going to be pretty kosher. If not, then that'll be on the next video or the video after that. But as far as plans for the future for this thing, tie rods are going to be the front end, and then I'll have an idea. I do need to order material to make a steering shaft, and I'll have to adapt because the stock steering shaft has a metric measurement and spline count. The rack and pinion that we're using has a 5/836, I think it is. So I'll have to make a steering shaft that'll be one piece, that'll go from the steering wheel or steering column down to the rack and pinion. They'll have two universal joints, one at the top, one at the bottom, and I like to make them collapsible. Not that I'm in any fear that these things go fast enough that, if you, like on a race car where it has to be collapsible to take some of the brunt of a hit, I don't actually think that'll even get affected as much as it's just easier for installation, and it's nice to have that little bit of adjustment and flexibility. We're going to be running 22-inch tires. We have a set of Track and Trail TT400s on the front with a set of steel ITP wheels, 10-inch wheels. It's good. It's a nice wheel. The customer has rear wheels. They need to bring me soon. I'll have to contact them and see when they can make that trip and bring me the rear tires and wheels. They forgot to bring them when they dropped the buggy off. After that, next project is going to be, I do plan on putting some sort of bumper that's going to be detached from the front end that you see here, that's going to hang in front of it, just in case it does get in a hit, that it doesn't affect the rack mount. Not that I think that thing will move. I mean, that's pretty heavy duty right there, but just to be safe. I just haven't figured out. I have an idea in my head. I just don't know if it's going to look kosher. And then the other thing I'd like to do, I just have to see about it, is I plan on taking the cage apart and taking all the little plastic notched out inserts on the bolt-on cage. I'd really like to weld this cage up. It's not in the budget to completely rebend and redo a whole cage, but what I'd like to do is take these inserts out, run the bolts through them, weld the cage together, and make this a more solid machine all the way around. I think they handle better. I think they're more rigid, and yes, it does make a difference, especially on the tracks that we run these on. And actually, I think that the rest of the chassis takes a lot less abuse. I run a Yerf Dog. It's got the stock cage on it, and that thing is bending and tweaking in all kinds of spots, and it just does not have that support. I mean, if anybody's seen a Yerf Dog cage, it's not even this good. It's basically tubing that's been hammered down with a hole drilled through it, and it offers no support whatsoever to the rest of the frame. So I'd like to get this welded, and then we'll move to the back. I'm going to do some sort of hoop in the back from side to side to mount the tank, and then bring two down bars and tie this in with the hoop that I'm going to put here, and tie it up here. And try and make it so it all looks, you know, it all flows and looks good. I mean, when it comes down to it, anything you do with the cage, you want it to look good. That's where I have the most fun. I mean, I almost wish that I had the time and they had the budget. I would love to rebend the cage on this. That's where I have the most fun. But at this point, we have not much time left, a little over a month, and there's so much other stuff that needs to be done all the way around the board. So I actually, these bends in this cage, my bender would not be able to do the long swooping bends. That's more of a roller type deal. It does have a different look, so I kind of like that. I couldn't achieve that with my machine. So that long swooping curvy Carbide main hoop, or main cage bar there. It's going to give it a different look than anything I could give it. So that's going to be kind of good. I just want to do something so it doesn't look so empty, but I just want it to flow nicely. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully it'll all look like one big, nice, complete machine when it's done. And then it's off to the motor's on the bench. A little bit there. We still need to put on the start stand and fire it up and whatnot. And I need to clutch it. And maybe we'll do a clutching video when we get to that point, just to explain components of the clutch, of what we're doing and why we're using what we're using. And what else? Wiring. We're going to have to wire this thing up, which we have a plan for. I'm going to simplify everything. The dashboard, we took it off. It's going to be very simple. Start, stop button. There's no lights on this thing. No need for them. And everything's going to be in the plan is to put everything in a contained box where the passenger seat would be. So the driver just has to basically reach over with his right hand and hit an ignition switch and then hit a start button and bang. So we're going to really simplify that, and then it'll be just one harness that goes to the motor, and everything will be in the same box that the switches are in. The CDI, solenoid, rectifier is going to be all right there. Kind of like a plug-and-play module of some sort. So that being said, hopefully I didn't drone on too much and whatnot. Like I said, this isn't really my my thing. But I will try to get into more details and explain what we're doing, and hopefully this will be a lot more interesting in the future, and I'll practice at it. You guys just bear with me. So that being said, have a good night. Don't know how much I'm going to get done this weekend. Tomorrow's being Valentine's Day, and the next day I'm psyched because we're going up to Tampa to watch a Supercross race. So that's fun. And if you guys need parts, you know where to go. Gotbuggies.com, GOTBUGGIES.com. And give us a like on Facebook, the shop page, JD's Custom Buggies Inc. on Facebook. And if you have any questions, you need to contact me, PM me, JD Plakiotis on Facebook. Send me a friend request. If you're into this kind of stuff, I will say yes. I don't turn anybody down if they're into dirt bikes, buggies, ATVs, side-by-sides. You're part of my peoples. So, all right, have a good one, guys. Good night.